The afternoon sun spilled lazily over the red brick houses of Cliftonwood, a quiet residential street on the outskirts of Bristol. Birds chirped from the tall maples that lined the pavement, and the distant hum of a passing bus blended into the calm. In the front garden of number 17, David Carter stood with his hands tucked into the pockets of his worn chinos, speaking softly with Mrs. Evans, their neighbor of 20 years, about the unseasonably warm December weather and how it might affect the daffodils come spring. Inside the house, Olivia had just come home early. She'd cancelled her plans with her friend Maya after a failed attempt to film a relatable uni stress reel that never quite felt authentic. Still in the outfit she'd chosen that morning, her favorite light blue cotton frock, short-sleeved, knee-length, with a neat white Peter Pan collar and tiny embroidered daisies along the hem, she padded barefoot toward the kitchen for a glass of water. That's when she heard it. "Worried about her, Elsie," her father was saying, voice low but clear through the open French doors that led to the back garden. "She's been skipping tutorials again. And that channel of hers, it's consuming her." Olivia froze mid-step. The glass in her hand felt suddenly heavy. "She's always been bright," Mrs. Evans replied gently. "But that online world, it's not the same as real life, is it?" Olivia's cheeks flushed hot. It wasn't just the words, it was the tone. The quiet concern. The implication that she was failing, floundering, lost. And worse, he was saying it outside, where anyone passing by might hear. Where she had to hear it. Without thinking, she strode through the French doors and onto the freshly mowed lawn. The grass was soft beneath her bare feet, but her heart pounded like a drum. "Oh, are we sharing my academic failures with the whole postcode now?" she snapped, arms crossed over her chest, chin lifted in practiced defiance. David turned, startled. "Live, don't live me," she cut in, her voice sharp enough to make Mrs. Evans take a half step back. "If you're so concerned about my online world, maybe you should film your own parenting advice vlog. Title it, How to Humiliate Your Daughter in Front of Neighbors." David's expression shifted from surprise to something deeper, hurt, disappointment, a quiet kind of shame. "Olivia, that's enough." But the words tumbled out now, fueled by weeks of pressure, sleepless nights editing clips, and the gnawing fear that she wasn't enough on or off camera. "What? I'm just being honest. Unlike you, pretending everything's fine while you gossip about me like I'm some broken project." Mrs. Evans cleared her throat awkwardly. I should get back. Kettles whistling, I expect." She offered a tight smile and hurried down the path, not looking back. Silence settled over the garden like a thick fog. David stood very still, his shoulders squared, his jaw tight. Then, in a voice that was calm but unshakable, he said, "Go inside. Now." Olivia wanted to argue, to storm off. But something in his eyes, something she hadn't seen since she was a teenager caught lying about her whereabouts, stopped her. Without another word, she spun on her heel and walked back into the house, the French doors clicking shut behind her with finality. Inside, the house was quiet. The only sound was the ticking of the grandfather clock in the hallway, a relic from her grandmother's home, polished every Sunday without fail. Olivia stood in the hallway, arms still crossed, her light blue frock slightly wrinkled from the day's tension. She heard her father's footsteps behind her, slow and deliberate. He didn't yell. He never did. Instead, he stood beside her, hands clasped in front of him. "Do you understand what you just did?" "I spoke my mind," she muttered, not meeting his eyes. "You mocked me. In front of someone who has known you since you were in nappies. You made me feel small, Olivia." And you did it here, on our own lawn, in front of our own home. She opened her mouth to retort, but the raw honesty in his voice made her pause. This isn't about your channel, he continued, voice softer now. It's about respect. About how we treat each other, especially when no cameras are rolling. You crossed a line today, one we've talked about before. Olivia's stomach dropped. She remembered the conversation, years ago, after a similar incident with her younger brother Leo. Her parents had been clear: disrespect that shames a parent in public is a serious breach. There will be consequences. You're 20, he said, as if reading her thoughts. But adulthood isn't just about age. It's about accountability. And you're accountable for how you made me feel today. He turned toward the study, a room lined with bookshelves, dominated by a large oak desk and a well-worn leather armchair by the window. Come with me. Her pulse quickened. She knew what was coming. And though a part of her wanted to run, another part, the part that had watched her father stay up all night helping her revise for A-levels, who'd driven her to every drama club rehearsal without complaint, knew she deserved it. She followed him, bare feet silent on the wooden floor. The study smelled of old paper and lemon polish. Sunlight streamed through the tall window, casting dust motes in golden swirls. David closed the door softly behind them. You know why this is happening, he said, not unkindly. Olivia nodded, eyes downcast. Yes. He walked to the bottom drawer of his desk and removed the wooden paddle, a smooth, rectangular piece of beech wood, unmarked except for a faint scratch near the handle. It had been part of their family discipline since she was 13, reserved only for moments when words weren't enough. Bend over the arm of the chair, he instructed. She did as told, resting her forearms on the cool leather, her light blue cotton frock riding up slightly at the back. She could hear her own breath, shallow and quick. This isn't anger, David said, standing behind her. It's correction. Because I love you too much to let you believe that cruelty is strength. The first stroke landed with a sharp thwack, firm, precise, stinging more than she expected. She gasped. 2, he counted, voice steady. For speaking with contempt. 3. For shaming your father in front of a neighbor. 4. For forgetting your values. 5. For letting online validation replace real integrity. 6. Because you're better than this. By the 6th stroke, tears streamed silently down her cheeks. Not from pain alone, but from the crushing weight of realization. She had been better. Once. And she could be again. When it was over, David placed the paddle back in the drawer and rested a hand on her shoulder. Go to your room. Think about what this was really about. She nodded, unable to speak, and walked slowly upstairs, the soft fabric of her frock clinging to her damp cheeks. That night, Olivia sat cross-legged on her bed, still in the same light blue frock, now creased and tear-stained. Her phone lay face down on the nightstand, silent for the first time in weeks. Instead, she held her leather-bound journal, the one she'd neglected since she'd started chasing viral fame. She opened it to a blank page and began to write. I thought being real online meant being loud. But real isn't performative. Real is quiet. Real is staying when it's hard. Real is respecting the people who've loved you through every version of yourself, even the messy ones. She thought of her father's face on the lawn. Not angry. Just disappointed. And worse, hurt. She remembered him teaching her to ride a bike on this very street, running alongside her, hand on the back of her seat until she found her balance. She remembered him driving through the night to pick her up from a party when she was 16 and scared. She remembered him sitting in the hospital waiting room when she had her appendix out, reading Pride and Prejudice aloud to distract her. And today, she'd thrown all that away for a cheap laugh. Her fingers trembled as she opened her phone not to film, but to delete. She scrolled past drafts. Dad roasts my cooking, his brutal when your parents don't get social media, family drama prank gone wrong, all scrapped now. Deleted. Erased. She stared at the photo on her lock screen, her, Leo, and her parents at the Bristol Harbour Festival last summer. Her father had her on his shoulders, grinning as she waved a Union Jack flag. She looked happy. Real happy. Not the curated kind. The kind that comes from being loved and loving back. A single tear fell onto the journal page, blurring the ink. She didn't wipe it away. 3 days later, Sunday morning dawned crisp and clear. Olivia stood in her room, choosing her outfit with care. Not for the camera, but for herself. She picked a soft sage green cotton frock, similar in cut to the blue one but quieter, more grounded. She tied her hair back simply, no filters, no persona. Downstairs, her father was in the kitchen, brewing tea. He looked up as she entered. No words passed between them at first. But then she walked over and hugged him long and tight. "I'm sorry, Dad," she whispered. He held her close. "I know, love." Later, they walked together to Mrs. Evans's gate. Olivia carried a small basket with a lemon drizzle cake, her grandmother's recipe, baked from memory. Mrs. Evans opened the door with a smile. "Well, look at you two." "I'm sorry, Mrs. Evans," Olivia said, holding out the basket. "What I said the other day, it wasn't fair to you, or to him." The older woman's eyes softened. "Ah, we've all said things in anger. What matters is coming back with a kinder heart." She patted Olivia's hand. "Your mum would have been proud of you today." Back home, Olivia sat at the kitchen table with her father. Sunlight poured through the same windows seen in every scene, the living room, the study, the garden. On the counter, her phone sat idle. But then she picked it up, not to post, but to record. Just for herself. She hit record, looked into the lens, and spoke softly. "Today I learned that respect isn't loud. It doesn't need views or likes. It's choosing kindness when no one's watching. It's saying sorry when you've hurt someone you love. And it's remembering that the people who've been there from the start, they deserve your best self. Not your content." She stopped recording and saved the file under a new folder. Real stories. Outside, a robin landed on the garden fence. The kettle whistled. And for the first time in months, Olivia felt truly present. Not as a creator, not as a performer, but as Olivia, daughter, sister, friend. Flawed. Forgiven. Growing. And that was enough.